Today, we're going to be talking about SEO keywords and strategy for e-com revenue. So we're super excited on this topic. Next slide. So what's your goal? You can help make your online store make more money. That's what we're going to show you how to do today. We have used the strategy that Brett's going to take you through to help turn a local retailer into a national online competitor. So we know that these tactics work, and we hope they'll work for you too. So I'll introduce Brett Woodward, who is our SEO manager. He specifically helped grow online revenue over 500% for one click and mortar retailer in a single year, continued that success with 100% growth the year after. He is really adept at building content that ranks on page one, that drives traffic and converts to sales. He knows a lot about how to bring the factors together that will help you do that. And he's also passionate about outdoor recreation, making outdoor recreation accessible. He's an avid bicyclist, so I'm sure that'll pop up a few times today. 2 Octobers, our purpose is to be the growth engine behind today's purpose-driven companies. So we are a B Corp, and I love talking about a B Corp. So if you have any questions about that, stick around for the Q&A session at the end, and I'd be happy to chat about that. But B Corps put people and planet before profits as they do business. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Brett.
Thanks, Chris. And thanks everybody for coming. Excited to share some tips and strategies with you guys. Got a little bit of an outline for what we're going to talk about today. I've got an online revenue formula that we use to sort of conceptualize how to grow traffic and grow revenue and grow all the little bits and pieces that go into making your online store more money. And then kind of the bulk of what we're going to talk about today is finding keywords that are more likely to convert and that are more likely to bring the right people to your catalog pages, your product pages, and spend money. Then we'll talk about a few strategies for growing traffic for e-commerce just in general. And then we've got a pretty cool giveaway after that. We have a proprietary search engine optimization tool that we use in-house that's been developed by one of our team members that I want to talk to you guys a little bit about. And we'll actually give away a $150 value setup for free to one of you guys. So stick around for that. And then if you have any questions, we can cover those at the end of everything. So excited to be with you guys today. And if you have any questions throughout, you can throw them in chat and Chris will monitor them and I will get to those as I can. So yeah, let's do it. Noah Lerner is the one who developed this formula, and he's our product developer at 2 Octobers, and we'll see his name again today. But this framework is exactly that. It's a formula, but it's more of just a way to think about growing online revenue. The formula is this: it's traffic times conversion rate times average order value. So if you think about how am I going to grow my online revenue, that's kind of a whole beast to think about. But if you break it out this way, this is just one way to think about it that has helped us kind of prioritize what we're going to focus on. So an example, if you have 100,000 sessions, like people coming to your website, and 2% of them buy something, conversion rate, and you have an average order value of $100, your revenue from this formula is $200K. So you can fill in the blanks here with what your average sessions are and conversion rate and order values. But once you have those numbers, you can use this formula to sort of look at each piece individually and see how you can make gains on each one. Because obviously, if that conversion rate goes up to 5%, then we've made some significant progress. Same thing with sessions and average order value. So how do you actually use it? We're going to look at each one. So for traffic, we want to grow traffic with optimized pages. So we want to get on the first page of Google. We want to rank highly for the keywords we're targeting, and we're going to bring more people to the site. So we want to grow traffic. We also want to improve our conversion rate. And there's a lot of ways to do this. It's kind of complicated, But the way that we've seen it work for some of our clients is really try to target that bottom of the funnel search intent that have people who are more likely to convert. So people who are closer to the buying process than some of the broader terms. And then for average order value, that's something that you'll know more than me. Obviously, you want to focus on stuff that makes you money, the high dollar, high margin products and categories that really are your bread and butter. So the way that you would go about working through this, or at least the way that I go about working through this formula, is I kind of start and go backwards with average order value first. I want to think about what our top products and categories are. And then once I have those in my mind, I'll try to find keywords related to those categories that are appropriate and have the right intent. And then we're going to try to apply some of those keywords in our strategies to grow traffic to improve the pages that we have around those areas. So that's kind of how I use it. I like to go sort of from average order value and work my way backwards to revenue. So again, average order value is something that you guys will take care of. I'm going to start with conversion rate. And again, the way we're going to try to approach this is use queries that are going to be more low funnel, like people who are closer to pulling out their wallet and buying whatever product or service that you have. So you might ask, do they actually improve click-through rate, these queries that convert, so to speak? So what I have here is some data from one of our clients, and I've got one query that's kind of broad and one query that has a keyword modifier that has high transactional intent. So for sale versus just regular mountain bikes. And as you can see, clicks and click-through rate are pretty much, well, almost nearly 3 times the general term once you have that keyword modifier with transactional intent on there. More or less a similar amount of impressions, still a bit more for mountain bikes for sale, but you'll also notice that we're ranking higher on page 1 for the more specific keyword modifier. So we've seen a lot of success by targeting keywords like this instead of just leaving it to the general topic. And there's other facts and figures that we can share to prove this point, but we've got a lot to talk about, so we're going to get rolling. So how do you actually find the queries and those modifiers that are more likely to convert? Well, I go about it in usually these 4 ways. I look through the SERPs, which is the search engine result pages, aka Google. You can say SERPs if you want to sound cool in marketing circles. And the SERPs will tell you like what actually Google is doing on its algorithm on a day-to-day basis. Third-party tools are another really good way to get contextual evidence as to why you might want to choose this keyword over this keyword. But again, that's not exactly Google's data. It's separate data sets. So it's important to look at Google, but it's also great to look at national trends from third-party tools. And then we're going to look at Search Console, Google Search Console, which is a free tool that you can set up for any website. And it tells you how you're doing and how your site is doing related to all of these things. So it's all well and good to know what nationally is important, but it's really great to find out where you have traction and where you can make the most impact. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about our not so secret weapon that I use on a day-to-day basis at work that I'm really psyched about. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. That's part of the giveaway. So we're going to take it step by step for each of those 4 processes. The first one is going to be a few slides on analyzing the search engine result pages. So if you have your average order value in mind and you've picked some products or categories that are consistently the ones that really make you money, you can punch in some of those main terms into Google and then snoop around with the related searches and see what you can find based on what's showing up on Google. So as you'll see here, Google is really trying to help us find things that are helpful to us and are going to help us continue our search, and also shows us what other people are actually looking for, like popular searches. So we can get right from the horse's mouth some really popular searches just by looking at the autofill in the top section search bar of Google, the related searches in the bottom, and we're looking for some of these modifiers that have transactional intent. So for sale, cheap, near me, local intent there. Another one that people don't always pay attention to is take this third sort of bottom slide or image, for example. So I clicked into this mountain bikes result from Trek Bikes, and I looked around and then I went back to the SERP. This people also searched for box was not there when I clicked on that result, but because I came back to the search engine result page, Google's anticipating that I may not have exactly found what I want and is trying to help me. So that's another really cool area where you can find places to grab keywords that maybe will convert a little bit better. Right now, we're just sort of in the gather everything into our bucket phase, and we're going to use some of our other methods to find out which ones we'll actually want to go for. So it's really important to check out what is going on in search engine result pages besides just the actual words that are happening on the pages. Everything that Google does is related to intent, and it's trying to show you what it believes is something similar to what you're looking for. If you're not familiar with the different kinds of intent, there used to be 3. Now people, the experts kind of say that the transactional and commercial are 2 separate ones, but you got people who are looking for information, people who are looking to get to a site or a place, and then the 2 that we're trying to focus on are queries that have commercial intent and transactional intent. So commercials, like they're shopping around, they're trying to do research on products and services, and transactionals, they know what they want, and they're just trying to find out who they're going to spend money with. So keep those in mind, and we want to focus on commercial and transactional intent. And the order of the features on Google and the types of features that you see will give you a really good indication of how Google is going to interpret the intent of the query that you just punched into Google. So if I type in mountain bikes for sale, which is one of the queries that we saw doing our little research on auto suggest and related searches, we're seeing shopping ads right away. So if you see shopping ads immediately at the top of the SERP and some of the first features are shopping ads, then that's a really good indicator that there's high transactional intent and that you are targeting a keyword that is more likely to convert. So I even have come up with a different one that I haven't seen here in the ad copy of the first ad, buy mountain bikes. That's another one that I didn't have yet. So keep in mind what the SERPs are doing, what features you're seeing in what order, because if ads are way at the bottom and an informational graphic is up at the top, for example, you might not be targeting the highest amount of transactional intent that you could be. So just keep that stuff in mind as you're going through. And again, if you don't see any ads anywhere on the page, be careful. That may not be a good option to go for because it doesn't seem to have much transactional intent, at least to Google. Maybe you have the intent of buying a beginner mountain bike, but the algorithm that Google has is essentially saying people who typically type this keyword are more looking for information. So we've got some articles up at the top of this, and apologies if it's too small for you to read, but we've got a few just organic results, no featured snippets or anything like that. And then the people also ask feature. So just definitely make sure you're targeting the right stuff. If you see the map pack, people are trying to either shop locally or visit a service provider. So map packs are a good example of when you are close with local intent to people who are really trying to make a purchase or make a decision on something. You also want to be careful with queries that have multiple intent because it may be watered down a little bit. And what I mean by that is if I typed in best mountain bikes, which I think may have been one of the ones we found earlier, we'll see that within the same search engine result page, I'm seeing long form content, so like articles, seeing video content that's sort of reviewing a certain amount of bikes, And then I also have seen some shopping ads. So while there is some transactional intent there, it may not be the best one to focus on, but something to keep in mind is not all of these queries are going to be the same for every product or service or category. So maybe best really works for a service provider or somebody who's selling a different kind of a product. That's something that we'll figure out in our research. Besides the features themselves, you definitely want to pay attention to the organic results, which are the blue links that are not ads, not features, or anything like that. So again, for mountain bikes for sale, you want to check out what do the top organic results have in common. What keywords are they using in their title tags, in their meta descriptions? What kind of content is on that page? Is it a catalog page? Is it a landing page for a specific product? Just really do some research on the things that are working, because this is the algorithm in play. Google is telling us exactly, even though we don't know the answers why, specifically we can make really strong inferences by looking at the results in the top and seeing what they have in common and looking for patterns.
Hey, Brett.
Yeah.
There's a question about how much personalized and localized search results might be affecting your ability to analyze the SERP pages. Is that a concern that you have? And if so, how would you recommend working around it?
Yeah, so I would say that the fact that the map pack exists definitely is related to the intent that you're looking for. But obviously where you're seeing the results show up, like what the map pack is showing, is going to be localized unless you have, like, for say, a plugin that can make you search from a different type of area. So yes, it will change a little bit based on your location if you're not trying to actively fool Google into where you are. But the fact that the map pack exists at all is telling you that there is local intent somewhere. And whether that's near you, like I'm in Utah, or where Chris is in Denver, it's still the same local shopping intent. So yes, it's different and you can work around it, and we can talk about that definitely in the Q&A section. But just the fact that there's local intent at all is really what I'm trying to get at this stage. Let me know if that answers your question at all, or if we can chat more about it in a bit. So yeah, I'll move along. Takeaways for analyzing the search engine result pages: check out the features, check out the results, find your queries and the related queries, and then note which one of those has the most transactional or commercial intent. So that's what we're trying to do when we're doing our research within the search engine result pages, because that is Google working and we can see it working. And it's a little bit different than, say, third-party tools, which are different data sets, but they give us a little bit more insight into specific things that we want to learn more about. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on third-party tools because there's lots of them, and you can look up tons of tutorials on how to use them. But what we use them for mostly is to gain contextual data for very specific queries. So if we found what we might want to use by checking out what's on Google, we can look at data to make informed decisions based on which ones should we go for. And two of the ones that we really use the most at work are Ahrefs and SEMrush. And they're both really great tools. They both have a very similar keyword research tool. It's called Keyword Explorer in Ahrefs and Keyword Magic Tool in SEMrush. And they do a lot of the same stuff, but some people have preferences one or the other. I typically use both, to be honest, just to get a sense. But if you have to choose one, I like SEMrush because it actually, if you look, and it's a little hard to read, but right next to the keywords, there's an intent column, and it helps you kind of gauge right then and there if there's intent and what kind for the keyword that you're looking at. So those are two that we like. And what I usually do to try to figure out what ones I want to look into more thoroughly is check out search volume, like how many searches per month there are. difficulty, which is sort of a ranking that they ascribe to these different keywords, like how difficult is it going to be to rank well for this keyword. You can also find different topics and queries that you may not have thought about before by exploring their parent topics and related searches. It'll show you if there's cost per click data, like if people are paying for that keyword, which can be a good indicator of transactional intent too, sometimes, not always. And it can also tell you if things are trending up or down. So there's lots to talk about in third-party tools. I recommend that you check them out. I'll also show you what we use for our day-to-day most often here in a bit, but you can again just dig into these third-party tools to take the queries you found from Google and see which ones may be the best to go forward with. Now I'm going to talk about Search Console, which again is free to set up. If you haven't, you should definitely do it. It'll tell you all sorts of stuff like how your site health is from a search perspective. And what we're going to use it for today is look at the queries that we actually are getting traffic for, getting impressions for, and see where we can make ground. Because as I say here, it's a lot easier to rank for stuff that you already have traction for. So if I'm a bike store selling mountain bikes and I want to get into selling skis in the wintertime, but we don't have anything on our site for skis and we're not ranking for anything for skis, it's going to be a lot harder to get our catalog pages higher up and our product pages higher up the SERPs and improve that conversion rate because we don't have any traction for it. But what we want to do is look in Search Console to see where we actually have traction and where we can make the most ground. Like where's the low-hanging fruit that we can take advantage of? It's easier to make something better than to start from scratch. So what you can do is you can go into the Performance tab of Search Console, and you can use parameters to filter your results and look for specific things. So if we know from talking about our average order value that mountain bikes are crushing it for us and we really want to sell more of those, let's just type in mountain bikes by adding a new query on the left. And you can add the query in there and just hit enter and see what shows up. So you can see here I'm looking at the last 16 months of data with filtering the results for everything that includes mountain bikes. And if you're looking at the results, you'll see that mountain bikes for sale, Trek mountain bikes for sale, full suspension bikes, or mountain bikes for sale, all have really good click-through rate and really solid clicks and impressions. And position-wise, we're on the front page of Google rather than the second or the third. So we've got some ideas now for like, okay, mountain bikes, within mountain bikes, we've got mountain bikes for sale and Trek mountain bikes for sale and full suspension mountain bikes for sale. That's a brand in two categories that have a transactional modifier that we see right now has a great click-through rate and really solid impressions and clicks. What you can also do is if you want to try to find out some more that queries that have transactional intent related to mountain bikes that maybe are not just for sale, you can just sort by click-through rate and snoop around and see what has good impressions and clicks while having the great click-through rate, because you'll often find some really good keyword modifiers that you may not have thought about. So for example, I'm seeing buy demo mountain bikes, for sale near me, for sale, and then that last one, in stock, 1,000 impressions, 100 clicks, top of the first page of Google, could definitely be improved, and a great click-through rate. In stock seems like a pretty good opportunity for optimization that I may not have thought about before. And if you have a keyword modifier that you want to check out specifically, same deal. You can put that right into the query filter and just check out everything that's returning for sale. And mountain bikes, we've got different kinds of mountain bikes, like categories. We've got some top products from some big brands. And again, I do it here for in stock. And in stock is kind of surprising because click-through rates through the roof. Even though the clicks aren't necessarily comparative to for sale, we're seeing really crazy good click-through rate for this in-stock query and really, really high position. So think about it, poke around and see what kind of modifiers you can find in Search Console, because you might be surprised. And so, yeah, let's talk about our not so secret weapon, which is 2October's Explorer. And 2October's Explorer is really great because it takes in Google Search Console data, but it takes in just way more data than you can get. You can get 16 months back data from Search Console. This goes into a little bit wider date range, and it also can grab more things from BigQuery than Google Search Console is able to provide you. So essentially, you're getting a lot more stuff, but you're also getting it in a packaged way that makes sense for marketers. And if you remember our formula that we talked about, the revenue formula, Noah Lerner created this tool. He's our product developer, and he's got a really great mind for knowing how to take data into meaningful insights. So I've grabbed a couple of screenshots of some of my favorite features that I use Explorer for when I'm searching for queries. There's lots more to this tool, and I've included a video demo link, and we'll send out all these slides to you all, so you can watch it if you'd like to. But for example, like if I left 2Octobers tomorrow and worked for somebody else, I would ask to invest in this tool because it's just that cool and it makes my life so much easier. So we've got funnel keywords we can look at right away. The work is done for us. We don't have to sift through poking in stock or for sale or snooping around in Search Console. That's all manual. It's done for you in Explorer. And you can see how they're ranked, how many are showing up, and you can get really quick ideas that way. You can search by funnel, middle of the funnel, top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel is what we're trying to look at. You can search by position, you can find questions. It's just pretty awesome, and I'm happy to be able to use it because I definitely feel like it gives me an advantage just in what I'm able to find and then the time that I save doing it. So again, what we're trying to do is finalize those lists of keywords that we've looked at are actually showing up on Google, that have the right intent, that are more likely to convert because they have transactional intent, and that because they have the right intent will likely boost our conversion rate because we're bringing people that actually are ready to buy rather than people who might be doing research. So here's a list of 17 keywords with transactional intent that we find have been really useful for optimizing. Don't worry, you don't need to scribble them down super fast. We'll link all of this stuff out to you later, and you'll have it. But if you would like, I can give you some custom regex to input into Google Search Console that has all of these keyword modifiers in there. So instead of looking for sale and then getting out of that and looking in stock and then getting out of that and then going through that list, you can do it all at once. And if you're curious and you want to do it that way, just shoot me an email. My email's at the end of the slides, and I'll be happy to send it over to you. So we've talked about average order value, figuring out what areas of our catalog we're going to try to optimize. We've talked about how to improve conversion rate because we want to bring the right people to our page and show up for the right searches. And now we're going to talk about some strategies that we use to actually improve the amount of traffic that we get to these pages. So first strategy, obviously kind of the same vein as you can make something better easier than you can create something new. Usually optimize the stuff you already have. If you've got pages that already get traffic, you're going to want to include those low funnel keywords on that page. You can do that in the title tag, the meta description, in the headers, in the introductory text. But it's also important because conversion rate, there's a lot going into conversion rate. And what you can also do is really take a hard look at the product pages and catalog pages that you have and check out the user experience. see what information you may be leaving out. If you've got unique product descriptions, or if you're just using the stock product descriptions from the manufacturer that everyone else on the internet who sells that product has. Are you using videos or images that might give people a little bit more to look at that maybe other people selling that item might not have? And then what actions are you letting users take if they can't right now or don't want to or unable to buy a product? What I mean by user actions is in-stock notifications, for example. Let's say you've got a really popular product that you want to sell, and you want to make sure that when you do get new product in, people know about it. So are you able to put some code on your website that allows people to sign up for notification when that cool mountain bike comes back in stock? All of that stuff are things that we've done to really increase the amount of sales online for some of our retailers. So optimize the things that you already have using those keywords and taking a real hard look at the user experience of your catalog and product pages. That's one way. If you want to learn more about some of the other ways to improve SEO for catalog pages and just your site in general, a webinar that my colleague Max did last month is called 10 SEO Opportunities for Low-Hanging Fruit. And it's really cool. He goes into detail on a lot of this kind of stuff. And if you want to find out more, you can click on the link when we send you the slides, and it's free to check out. So the second strategy is you want to use internal linking to boost those pages that you've optimized. And you want to do that by linking from high traffic pages and the main navigation. And you want to do that because high traffic pages are obviously going to bring more visitors through your main homepage, or a really great article that gets tons of traffic every month. You want to make sure that it's linking out to the appropriate catalog pages you want to try to improve the performance of. Those user signals like page dwell time and all of that adds up, and Google sees when people are watching those pages. So link from your high traffic pages, but also consider linking from your main navigation or your footer. Those links are basically telling Google, hey, this is the most important stuff on our website, and we really want people to know about this. And Google takes that into consideration too, and it'll pass along some authority because you're giving a vote of confidence to this catalog page because you're linking it from such a high source. And then you want to link to all the other related pages if you can. What we're going to try to do eventually is have a bunch of catalog pages that are linked together with related products and categories so that Google can start making associations and really understand the content of your site. With those internal links, it's able to more quickly follow them and see what you're linking to and see how they're related. And when you make Google's job easier, thinking about what you have and how to display it, then you'll see rankings improve. So those are a couple of ways to boost your performance on pages and boost traffic with internal links. Definitely make sure you're utilizing that. Another strategy is to go after specific catalog pages. So like we've looked at what we've already created, we've made those better. By the way, don't forget to submit your new changes to Search Console. And if you don't know, a quick Google will basically tell you, but Google's an index. If you don't tell it that it's updated, that you've updated a page, it might not know it and might show the old version. So definitely resubmit your pages for indexation after you've made some changes. But we also want to build more pages too. And we want to build pages, catalog pages that go after long tail searches. So an example would be mountain bike shoes versus women's mountain bike shoes. So mountain bike shoes, just like mountain bikes as a category, could have a lot of broad intent, or at least could go a lot of different ways. But if we go into women's mountain bike shoes, that's going to give us a little bit more of a specific search that's going to bring in people who are really looking for that specific item. You know, guys aren't going to, unless they're shopping for somebody else, you know, you're going to lose those people if if you are targeting the wrong things or if you're too broad. So what you want to do is try to create specific catalog pages that go after the right kinds of people. And when you do that, you're expanding the number of indexable pages that you have. And as you expand the number of pages you have around a topic and you link them all together, like we talked about a second ago, Google's going to start to see, hey, these guys have a lot of content, a lot of pages, a lot of information around this topic. They're going to ascribe you a little bit more topic authority, which can really help with overall rankings. And you also just have lots more internal linking opportunities. So definitely get more specific. You can get into more niche topics and really grab those long tail searches that have more specific intent than some of the more broader ones. So far you've learned our e-commerce revenue formula that we use to kind of conceptualize how we're going to go about attempting to grow revenue. We've talked about methods to find keywords that have conversion chops, they have conversion intent, they have people with their wallets out ready to buy. And then we've talked about a few strategies for implementing them. And if you do all of that stuff, you'll definitely see those catalog and product pages bump up a little bit in the search engine result pages, and therefore bring you extra money to your site. But I would be remiss to say that that's all you have to do, because what Chris said earlier about how we were able to grow traffic and revenue by over 500% for one retailer, that is critical, and we did that, and that's part of our strategy. But the strategy doesn't stop there. So you want to make sure that you're keeping some other things in mind, because it's not just, oh, go optimize your catalog pages and make a couple of new ones and you'll make, a ton more money. That's not really all you got to do. That's definitely something you have to do and where you should start, but it's not the whole picture. So I've got a couple more things for you to look into, but I do SEO and content. So I do a lot of looking at topic authority and how sites that have a lot of authoritativeness around a topic end up ranking first. And you all know who those probably are for your individual verticals. And it seems like if I'm a online sports like REI type, that's going to always show up above the mom and pop store trying to rank their small online site usually. So how do you build up more authority? Because authority is what's going to take your catalog pages from just doing a little bit better to doing a whole lot better. And this is what we've seen had the biggest impact for some of our online retailers that really invested in content. And so for the first bullet, you want to build EAT or EAT related content for every stage of the funnel. EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And it's something that Google has been saying is how it's kind of relating whose content is the best within the release of the last core algorithm updates. And the thing to know is that with every core algorithm update, it seems like more and more focus is being put on content. So content is really going to help you take the next step. And you want to have content for every stage of the funnel. Ideally, you want to have content for people who are just trying to get information on, say, what are mountain bikes or what kind of mountain bikes are there? I think I want a mountain bike, but I don't even really know anything about them. You want to have middle of the funnel stage content, which is more like, well, what size mountain bike or what type of full suspension is best? How much travel do I need? So stuff that I'm nerding out on right now that may or may not make sense to you, but you also obviously want that lower funnel content, maybe a landing page on a brand new product that just showed up and everybody's all jazzed about. So with content on every stage of the funnel, you're able to try to get users who are at every point in the buying process. And ideally, you can help them go through that funnel in their buyer's journey the entire way from your site and not have to move around and go back from site to site and try to find research and end up going with somebody else when they're ready to buy. If you establish yourself as an expert and someone who's trustworthy and authoritative, and don't worry, we can talk about EAT in the Q&A section a little bit more if you'd like. If you do all of that stuff, Google is going to notice, and you'll see that your catalog and product pages are going to improve. And you definitely need to make sure you're linking to those catalog pages and product pages from your awesome content that you create. And if you want to learn more about how to craft an audience-driven SEO content strategy, you're in luck. We have another webinar on that as well. Our head of content, Yasmin, she made a really cool webinar that you can check out for free too and gain some more insights on how do you actually do content marketing right. And then last strategy that I'm going to give you guys today, there's tons of things to focus on, and we've talked about more of the SEO and content side of things so far. But it's important to know that marketing does its best work when all the channels are working together. And this is something that we've been able to see and infer from our clients who have engaged with us in multiple ways, whether that's with shopping ads, with social media marketing, with local optimizations from optimizing their Google business profile, which used to be Google My Business, which I honestly can't believe I said right the first time because I never do. And you also want to make sure that your technical SEO, like your site's health, is in check. And if you do all of these things, you're taking all of the baby steps necessary to build a really strong case for those catalog pages and those product pages to rank really well for the people that you want them to see and the searches you want to show up for. And that's what's going to make you more money. Doing all this stuff together to get those catalog pages and product pages at the top of Google. So thanks for showing up and attending. Appreciate it. And yeah, I think Chris is going to take over for a second, and yeah, I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brett. I'm going to jump in. We are going to have a Q&A session in just a couple minutes, so please stick around for that if you've got some questions or want to hear questions and answers from other folks. But for right now, I'm going to do the giveaway. So 2 October's Explorer that Brett introduced you to is a product we developed, incubated in-house, and now we're making it available to SEOs around the world. And the cool thing about it, as you saw, is that it really opens up millions of rows of data inside of Google Search Console, giving you access to a ton of long-tail data that's really terrific for keyword research, for identifying low-hanging fruit pages that you can do SEO optimization for, and all of that stuff. So it's a really great thing. It is a pretty inexpensive tool as well. It's $30 a month for your first property and $20 a month for each property that you add into it after that. Property being the Google Search Console definition of property, because that's the data we're pulling in. So today we are going to be giving away a free setup. So we usually charge $150 for the setup of this tool, which gets all the data going into the pipeline and gives you access to it through the reporting engine. And so we're giving away a free tool. If you go to the next slide, a free setup. So I've used a random letter generator to generate the letter T, and then circled through the alphabet to get to the first name after T, and that is Ben. So Ben, I will be emailing you later with information about how to take advantage of your free setup. We would love for all of you guys to check out that tool. You can find out more information about our website and about it on our website and purchase it there. So thank you for joining today. Let's go ahead to our upcoming workshops. So please, we'd love to see you again. We get a lot of repeat visitors, and we love seeing you again. In April, we'll be doing with my co-founder, Nico Brooks, a webinar on storytelling with Google Data Studio. We get a lot of traffic to our Google's Data Studio videos on YouTube. So check it out. Check out some of the content there, or come to that webinar. In May, we'll be talking about eliminating keyword cannibalization. So another good SEO topic. And then into June, analyzing content architecture for SEO benefit. So some exciting SEO topics coming up.